got all 12 of the Frozen Forces Master Set player items, and in this video, I'm going to go through all 12 of them and rank them in a tier list to give you guys an informed decision over which ones you should choose if you were looking to make one of the MSPs. I'm also going to cover the context in which you should go after depending on your team, especially since two of the major items in this release are X Factor player items, so we are going to address that, as well as help out any of the holiday players that are just getting into Hockey Ultimate Team around the Christmas holidays. I've got you covered. Let's get into it. So let's talk about just first how you make these cards real quick. At the time of this recording, you've got about 3 weeks left to make any of the items. So if you were just starting the game around the holidays or even right at the beginning of the new year, you will still be able to make these Master Set player items. So again, there is no rush. You've got some time here to make some of the player items. Now, to make any of the 88 overalls, you will need to throw in 3 85 and above Frozen Force player items, as well as 2 85 and above items. These can be of any collection. So let's start in the theme team tier. These are cards that I would only recommend if you were building a theme team. Jake Oettinger fits that bill. It is very difficult for a goaltender to not be in the theme team tier simply because of the cost to acquire these cards being so high. Goaltenders' impacts in game just don't have the same level of impact as the other positions. If you've been playing the game for years, you know that it's your defense and offense that is going to dictate how good your goalie is most of the time. There are anomalies, obviously, but I've faced this Jake Oettinger a few times already, and he has been absolutely brutal every time I've gone up against him. So again, this would be a pure theme team player item. Also in the theme team tier list, we've got the 88 Jeremy Swayman. At 6'3", he's a little bit smaller than Oettinger, but he does have 91 speed. Haven't played a lot of Jeremy Swayman, but again, unless you are extremely hut rich or a Bruins fan, I would only make this card if you were looking for the specific player. Now on to the B tier. These are cards that are useful, but definitely lower than some of the other ones on the list. We'll start first with the 88 Connor Bedard. Now, last year, Connor Bedard's next-gen card was one of the best in the game, and it had essentially the same stats, maxed out wrist shot power and accuracy with gold make it snappy. However, year over year, it does not appear to be the same. His skating is extremely sluggish, at 89 speed, 89 acceleration. For whatever reason, that's not awful, but he just feels and looks sluggish. His agility is fantastic, so he can make great cuts, but his shot doesn't seem to outweigh the fact that he just can't get that breakaway speed at all. Not to mention, Make It Snappy is far worse than an NHL 24. There are just going to be better options for you for right-handed wingers as you're playing throughout the game. So unless you are a Connor Bedard fan, or you've already got some stacked players, like, let's say, a lot of fantasy items, and Connor Bedard fits the bill, he's in the B tier for me. Joining him is Sam Reinhart. Now, he is listed as a centerman, but with only 84 faceoffs, there's too many centers that have a really good faceoff rating now that he is more than likely going to be a winger for you. I think he might actually perform better at center if you were really good at the faceoffs and the counters. He's got a great shot, much like Bedard with Sniper Forward activated, but again, his skating is just a little sluggish. Gold Close Quarters is a very fun and useful ability in 25, but you probably have a lot of other players that require their abilities being activated to see some more impact. I don't think this is a bad card, like I mentioned. Just because he's in the B tier does not mean that he is bad. It just means that I think that there are better choices for you. Morgan Rielly also in the B tier. The 88 overall left-handed defenseman with two-way defenseman is, again, pretty well-rounded. Not a bad card. 88 speed, 89 excel, and 91 agility is fine at this stage of the game. Don't expect him to keep up with the high-end McDavid cards or Matthew Barzal's next-gen item. Seeing Eye is another fun ability, but as we know so far in NHL 25, you're taking mostly one-timers from the point. As someone who does enjoy his Maple Leafs, if you're making a Leafs theme team, you absolutely should grab Morgan Rielly. But again, I think that there are stronger options for you. And then lastly, in the B tier is the 88 Chris Kreider. Great size at 6'3", 233. Power forward, however, I've mentioned this a number of times, is just one of those synergies that is not really helpful. It is not going to be something you really notice, not to mention it is a little bit more difficult to activate unless you've got some specific player items. Gold Close Quarters is a fun ability, like I mentioned earlier. His skating, again, is just pretty mediocre. You have to remember that as we go further and further into the month and into January, we're going to start seeing more 90 and above overall skaters, which means that he is going to just fall in the lineup a little bit faster because he's starting behind. He's got good body checking. He is a pure left-handed winger, however. I would rather personally have the 85 base Connor McDavid than this card. again, that keeps him in the B tier. On to the A tier. These are cards that I would definitely recommend using. They are not must-makes, but they are going to be the best of the bunch, in my opinion, for you. We'll start first with the 88 Nick Suzuki, two-way forward and defensive boost with Goldborn Leader. Goldborn Leader is a useful ability to have. The problem is it's very situational. Like, you have to score with Suzuki. He also gets a little bit of a bump from hits and block shots, but again, in 25, hitting is so weird that it's not as easy as it was in 24. He's got good skating at 91 speed, 90 excel, 95 agility, so this is essentially a slightly better version than Connor Bedard. The other bonus here, however, is that he's got 93 faceoffs, so you can play him at center. In fact, he is definitely better and more useful at center in this game. He's got great hand stats, a very useful card. The thing that always adds value to me is when they have a great face-off rating, it means that you can play them on the wing or at center, and lineup flexibility is huge. So Nick Suzuki, definitely in the A tier for me. Then on to the defenseman. There are a lot of good defensive options in this release. We've got the 88 Zach Werenski, 6'2", 219 with two-way defenseman, which is easy to activate, giving him 90 skating across the board. He's got good body checking at 88 overall. Defensive awareness is 92, stick checking is 94. He's also got gold elite edges, which is a great ability, especially on defense. Remember that elite edges activates even when you don't have the puck, meaning that you can make cuts left and right at high-end speed and stick with those wingers that are trying to blow past you. So a great left-handed defenseman option for you if you were looking to move on from, let's say, the Supernaturals at Zdeno Chara, or if you're brand new to the game, this would be another good defenseman to make. Then on to the righties. The 88 Dougie Hamilton, 6'6", 230, unbelievable size. This card is very weird in the sense that he's got great size, obviously, but his defensive attributes are brutal. So at 88 speed and excel with 90 agility, that is not among the high end. And I've talked about this so far, some of the other MSPs that are even slightly faster, that skating is going to be an issue. The thing to remember, though, is that he's 6'6", 230, meaning that his reach covers a lot more ground, much like Victor Hedman. If you know how to play defense on the rush, it can be very difficult to get by players like Dougie Hamilton. He's only got 85 body checking, but he is 6'6", 230, so it shouldn't come into that big of an issue. The real negative here is that he's only got 86 defensive awareness, and that is the most important defensive stat. That is a little concerning, but when you combine the size and everything like that, I still think Dougie Hamilton is going to be a great defenseman for you. It's just going to feel weird. And then lastly in the A tier, we've got the other right-handed defenseman in the 88 Moritz Seider. Two-way defenseman as well as gold shutdown. At 6'4", 204, he's only slightly smaller than Dougie Hamilton, but he is a great card. 88 speed, 88 excel, 92 balance, and 88 endurance. And gold shutdown is, in my opinion, more effective than gold heat seeker. He also has good defensive awareness. In all honesty, the tiebreaker should go to Moritz Seider. I don't blame anyone for going Dougie Hamilton. Both are fantastic options, and if you don't have, let's say, the Team Builder Letang or Colton Parayko's fantasy card, either of these options is going to be great for you. It's simply, who do you like more as a player? I'm an Ice Dog fan, so I'll go Dougie Hamilton. But that being said, this is a fantastic right-handed defenseman card. All right, now on to the S tier. And there's going to be a lot of context here, obviously. The 89 Nikita Kucherov is ridiculous. He almost has a maxed out shot, 93 speed and excel, 96 agility. Make it snappy. Like I said, not really a useful ability this year. Puck on a string has its usefulness, especially if you're in the higher end divisions because you stick handle so much. His hand stats are also almost maxed out, meaning you're going to be able to pull up dekes and everything like that at a way higher clip and speed than other players. This is the best left-handed winger in the game right now and a clear must-make. However, there is a caveat, obviously. Because the issue is the other S-tier player is the 89 Connor McDavid, and he can play the same position. So, the 89 Connor McDavid has playmaking forward as well as gold elite edges and silver wheels. Honestly, the best combination of abilities, the only way it would be slightly better is if you flipped these two. But at 95 speed and excel, 96 agility with playmaking forward activated, a good wrist shot, almost 99 across the board hand stats, and 90 faceoffs, this is a card that you cannot miss from this event. everything that you're working towards right now needs to be put on hold until you make this 89 Connor McDavid. If you are just starting out the game, this is a perfect card to get if you are someone that started during the Christmas holidays, because like I said, he is legitimately the best card in the game that you can acquire that isn't a chase card. It's going to require 2 88 overall Frozen Forces player items, and if you just started the game, it's going to be difficult to make 2 for free because you've missed week 1's objectives and everything like that. But if you put all of your focus in it, all of your rewards and things like that, you can definitely make him. The problem with Nikita Kucherov is obviously he is behind Connor McDavid, meaning that you would need to make 4 88 overall Frozen Forces player items to get both. And I would do so if you had just started the game and you're grinding and you're able to get both of these before they are done and out of sets, which at the time of this recording would be 20 days, I would do so. Obviously, 4 88 overall Frozen Force items for a brand new team would be very helpful for the depth, but you'll be able to replace those quickly. These 2 cards are just so good for the next 2 months. However, if you've been playing since the start of the game, there is a massive issue because obviously if you've been working towards Connor McDavid's Supercharge card, what do? Here is what I would recommend. If you have made at least 2 captains towards the Supercharged Connor McDavid, I would not make the 89. The reason for that is because if you're more than 2 captains away, it is going to take you so long that the 89 McDavid is just going to be useful now, and you'll be able to get all of the effectiveness out of him. And then if you're still working towards McDavid, that's fine. He's still going to be the best card in the game for the remainder of the game. The other issue is that obviously if you're working towards Connor McDavid, you've got Nikita Kucherov's captain card, or you're about to. Now, his 89 is not nearly as good as his Master Set player item, but nonetheless, I don't think it's a big enough difference to go out and make Kucherov's MSP and not just upgrade Kucherov to 89 once you get McDavid. So if you are 2 captains and further into getting Connor McDavid, I would not make Kucherov or Connor McDavid. I would go with 2 defensemen like Werenski and Seider, or go with Suzuki and a defenseman as well. I hope this helps clear things up and helps make some of your decisions a little bit easier. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. And be sure to say subscribe to the channel for the most up-to-date news, tips, and info for NHL 25. Happy holidays.